So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called See No Evil, Hear No Evil, 1989. Not be confused with Hear No Evil, 1982. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was all right. This is going to be another Adrian mention. I think I was watching The Toy, and Adrian started posting comments about other Richard Pryor stuff. That's why I'm in the Richard Pryor Red Scare section of my... Oh, excuse me. Netflix queue. I couldn't hold it anymore. I think my son fainted on Christmas Day because there were Christmas trees all over, pagan Christmas trees all over the traditional Latin Mass, and he's allergic to Christmas trees. So I finally figured out why my son fainted, and I got the real story from my son about what happened in his social studies class. So he was just playing around with his neighbor's naughty friend, and the mentally challenged kid started crying. So naturally, the teacher blamed it on Aaron, and she separated both kids from the mentally challenged kid. He should have separated the naughty kid from Aaron, my son, but she doesn't know what she's doing. I told her that twice already, and my son didn't even find out that the crying boy was mentally challenged until he asked his neighbor, or he was talking to his neighbor about what happened. And then his neighbor told him that he was mentally challenged. So that's the story behind my son's incident. He's always getting in trouble with the school for no good reason, because the school sucks. And I knew he didn't do anything wrong. He's always got some explanation for his behavior. He's a good kid, considering that his parents went through divorce. And I think a lot of that has to do with me taking him to church. He's not interested in alcohol or drugs. He doesn't want to have sex until marriage. He's a very good kid. I couldn't expect a better kid, really. But that's just my 2 cents, worth nothing after inflation. So, and I have a couple corrections to my last video. Then we'll talk about my Robinhood account. Not that I'm proud of it or anything. It just turned out the way I predicted. So I'll give you an update on that. It could have been worse, like last year. Let me put it to you that way. But I turned it around somewhat. Okay. So the first thing I got wrong in my video the other night, what was it, Friday morning? Yeah, Friday morning, when I did my last video, Professor Quiz said that he couldn't find it, by the way. Adrian's having trouble finding my communion video. I had to send him the link in the comments section. I think there's a glitch with YouTube whenever I record videos on my phone and they're really long. YouTube has trouble with that for some reason. But it's also happening with the videos that I record at home. If they're really long, YouTube doesn't like that for some reason. I'm not one of their VIP stars, so I don't get the preferential treatment when it comes to bandwidth or whatever it is that's causing this glitch. So I apologize for that. All right, two things I got wrong is on Friday morning. First of all, I said Draymond Green pulled up and didn't tip me. Actually, that was his cousin, not Draymond Green. They kind of dress the same, and they've got the same kind of attitude. Maybe that's why Draymond Green set him up with a hotel room. He's got so much money he doesn't know what to spend it on. And the two have the exact same personality, him and his cousin. Anyways, I didn't get tipped. I was bummed out. I saw Draymond Green on the tablet, and I just assumed that it was him, not his cousin. I think Draymond Green does that on purpose. He disguises himself, and he pretends like he's his cousin so that he won't be in the public eye. He won't have to autograph basketballs and take pictures and stuff. He's probably in a hurry. And then We Live Again, 1934 review from Friday morning. I said that the actress was Scandinavian. Actually, she's Armenian. Adrian corrected me on that. Karate Man and Adrian are very good at correcting my mistakes. So thank you for that. I completely forgot that she was Armenian. All right, getting back. Well, my Robinhood is up 69.92% during the past month. An unrealized gain of $6,500.68. So if I can continue that throughout the rest of the year, then I'm going to blow through my financial goal next month. And I can start prepaying some bills through next year. I can start maxing out my 401k, maxing out my cash value, my life insurance, getting a college fund for him, maybe even getting a nice apartment in San Mateo with a movie theater, start building up my DVD collection so I can just show you the DVDs instead of reviewing them all the time. Like what other YouTubers do. All right. So that's my plan. See No Evil, Hear No Evil is a 1989 U.S. comedy film directed by Arthur Hiller. Who's Arthur Hiller? Canadian U.S. television and film director. The film stars Richard Pryor as a blind man. He's not very convincing. He doesn't walk around with a cane, and his eyes are like this throughout the whole movie. I guess he's trying to be funny or something. I don't know. I got a couple chuckles out of it. He's his usual potty mouth. The reason to watch is the shower scene with Joan Severance, who is in. She plays Eve. She's the reason to watch. She's in a very good shower scene. That was a highlight of the movie right there. There's also Anthony Zerbe, who played the crazy jail warden in the. Well, both Joan Severance and Anthony Zerbe were in Tales from the Crypt television show on HBO. Anthony Zerbe, who plays the blind bad guy, Mr. Sutherland, he was in. He played the evil jail warden with the razor blades and the dogs and everything. Remember that one? In the HBO TV series Tales from the Crypt. All right. The film stars Richard Pryor as a blind man and Gene Wilder as a deaf man who work together to thwart a trio of murderous thieves. The third film in a series of 4 featuring Wilder and Pryor, who had appeared previously in the 1976 film Silver Streak and the 1980 film Stir Crazy. The film was released in the United States on May 12, 1989. Released to a mixed to negative critical reception, See No Evil was a comic duo's last financially successful film as a screen couple. Their next film together, 1991's Another You, was a box office failure as well as a critical one, and it proved to be the last collaboration of Pryor and Wilder. Wally Carew, Richard Pryor, a blind man, and Dave Lyons, Gene Wilder, a deaf man, meet when Wally applies for a job in Dave's New York City concession shop. It's 103 minutes. It's too long. This movie, an hour 43 minutes. Budget 18 million. Box office 46.9 million. And I'll give you the IMDb rating in a second. Sorry, that's a tongue twister. IMDb 6.8 out of 10. So I'm rating it a little bit lower. Come to think of it, I'm probably giving it a 2.5 out of 5. So actually, I'm rating it a lot bit lower, but I'm rounding up the 2.5 to 3. I'm being nice. After a brief period of confusion and antagonism, Wally and Dave become close friends. Dave reads lips, guides Wally when they travel, and Wally tells Dave about invisible sources of sound and what people say behind his back. At a local bar, Wally defeats an aggressive bully in a fist fight with assistance from Dave. He uses clock face directions to tell Wally where his opponent is. Dave hires Wally. One morning, as Wally waits outside for the day's newspapers, a man walks into Dave's shop. When the man is approached by a beautiful woman called Eve, Joan Severance. Yeah, I agree. She's beautiful. He quickly removes a gold coin from a suitcase and places it in a box of coins sitting on the counter. But is it real gold? No, it's fool's gold. The woman takes the suitcase and shoots the man in the stomach as Dave, whose back is turned, reads the information on a box of antacid pills. Dave neither sees nor hears the shooting, but he notices Eve's legs as she leaves the shop. She's wearing nylons. I don't know what's so sexy about nylons in the late 80s, but okay. It is what it is. Wally, who heard the gunshot, walks into the shop and he trips over the man's dead body. Dave then rushes to help Wally. He picks up the gun, which Eve left at the scene. When the police arrive, they find Dave and Wally standing over the body with Dave holding the gun. Before they arrested, Dave tells Wally to collect the coins from the box. At the police station, Dave and Wally are interrogated by Captain Emil Braddock, Alan North, a detective who immediately takes a dislike to them and makes them his prime suspects due to their relative uselessness as witnesses. Got the Keystone Cops in this little police ineptitude. When Eve and her accomplice Kurgo, played by Kevin Spacey, the pedophile pervert, hoping to recover the coin, arrived to bail them out by posing as attorneys. Wally recognizes Eve's perfume. I guess there's In addition to some myths perpetuated about being blind by Richard Pryor, he and the bad guy, who are both blind, try to make it up that blind people have a heightened sense of other senses like smell and hearing. In this case, Wally smells Eve's perfume and Dave recognizes her legs, but Braddock ignores them when they insist that she is the killer, wishing to avoid Eve and Kurgo. When they are released, Dave and Wally escape from the police station, but the criminals soon find them. Eve takes the coin from Wally's pocket and she telephones her boss, Mr. Sutherland, played by Anthony Zerbe, the other blind dude who's the bad guy, for instructions, allowing Dave to learn the criminal's plans by reading her lips. When Kurgo tries to kill Dave and Wally, they use fist fighting method they learned in the bar to knock him unconscious. Then they steal an unattended police car, drive away with Eve, Kurgo, Braddock chasing them. I like in these movies how the keys are always in the ignition. Working together to guide the patrol car, Dave and Wally evade both the police and the criminals, but they accidentally launch the car onto a waterborne garbage barge headed for New Jersey. After hiding the car, the two men walk to a motel and they telephone Wally's sister, Adele, played by Kirsten Childs, for help. The police follow Adele and search her motel room, but she, Wally, and Dave avoid detection, and they drive away after the police have left. Having incorrectly read Eve's lips, Dave believes they need to find a woman named Grace George, but Adele realizes that Eve must have been referring to a resort called Great Gorge. At the resort, Wally in person. All of this is far-fetched and hard to believe. But it's a movie, right? People are dumb enough to believe this stuff. You're supposed to suspend disbelief when you're watching these movies, okay? At the resort, Wally impersonates a visiting professor. That part wasn't funny. Most of this movie wasn't funny, quite honestly. That's why I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. I'm sure Adrian liked it better. Meanwhile, Dave sneaks into the resort room to steal the coin from Eve. While Dave is digging through her bag, Eve comes out of the shower wearing only a towel. But before that, she wasn't wearing anything. She was in the shower. She opened the door. Shower door, blurry vision, shower door without blurry vision. I'm trying to tease you and build it up, okay? Dave gets a huge erection, and Eve mistakes it for a gun. I missed that part. Realizing this, I completely missed that scene. The erection gun mistake. Realizing this, Dave makes Eve raise her hands and drop the towel, leaving her completely naked, off camera, of course. You can only allow so much nudity in film that has plenty of potty mouth from Richard Pryor. Dave then looks Eve over and slips out of the room. Meanwhile, Adele distracts Kirby by crashing her car into his. However, Kurgo and Eve kidnap Adele and take her to Sutherland's estate. They realize that she's committing insurance fraud to distract them from the blind and deaf guy who seems to outwit them most of the time. After a mishap mishap with the car, Dave and Wally put their rescue plan in action, with the result that Adele escapes, but the two men are captured. In his study, Sutherland, who is also blind, reveals that the coin is a room temperature semiconductor, which is extremely valuable, more valuable than gold itself. Kurgo and Sutherland are killed during an argument over sharing the profits from the coin's theft, after which Dave and Wally escape the study. And they have a violent altercation with Eve and her helicopter pilot. The helicopter pilot just appears out of nowhere. He's in the movie for like 5 minutes. When the police arrive, the remaining criminals are arrested, and Wally and Dave are released, having been cleared of the charges. Dave promises to wait for Eve when she gets out of prison. He's obsessed with Eve. He hasn't gotten intimate in 8 years after his wife dumped him for going deaf after he got scarlet fever. Richard Pryor got blind because some dude in the car accident hit him, and he got off really light because Richard Pryor is black, and the justice system doesn't like black men or men in general. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go along. Joseph Bologna and Renee Taylor wrote the first screenplay of the film, and they sold it to Columbia Pictures for $200,000 in 1984. They later sued the studio in the Los Angeles County Superior Court for $10 million damages after being denied the promised additional $500,000 to be paid if Pryor were cast in the film. $25,000 per revision and 5% profit. Originally, Jim Belushi was to be cast as the deaf man before Wilder was hired. Principal photography began on August 29th, 1988 in New York and New Jersey, with New York City, Pound Ridge, and the Hackensack River marshlands serving as locations. TriStar Pictures was looking to produce another film starring Wilder and Pryor, but Wilder would only agree to do See No Evil, Hear No Evil if he was allowed to rewrite the script. The studio agreed, and See No Evil, Hear No Evil premiered in May 1989 to mostly negative reviews. Never let the actor write the script. That's the first rule of filmmaking. Second rule is never allow your relative to act in a film. Those are the two golden rules of this channel. Many critics, well, maybe not the second one, because I liked the Wood Chipper Massacre. That was a good flick. Many critics praised Wilder, Pryor's, and Kevin Spacey's performances, but they mostly agreed the script was absolutely terrible, thanks to Gene Wilder being allowed to write it. Roger Ebert called it a real dud. The Deseret Morning News described the film as stupid. I think I used that word too. With an idiotic script that had a contrived story and too many juvenile gags. I tend to agree with that, but I didn't hate it as much when I saw Joan's Severance coming out of the shower. On the other hand, Vincent Canby called it by far the most successful co-starring vehicle for Mr. Pryor and Mr. Wilder. If that's the case, I think Silver Streak and Stir Crazy must be worse than this, which is not a good thing. Vincent Canby also acknowledged that this is not the elegant movie making, and not all the gags are equally clever. The film holds a 27% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from 30 critics. Despite the negative reviews, the film was a box office success, able to stay at number one for 2 weeks. And that's all I have to say about See No Evil, Hear No Evil. I'm up over 25 minutes. So Adrian and Professor Quiz might not see this video until next week. Let me tell you what's coming down the pike for next week before I go. Some of these are movies that I thought I was going to be getting this week, but then I had issues with my bank card on Netflix. And Netflix made me wait for one of them. And then there was a glitch on the other one thanks to my bank card not working. Oh, too many glitches on Netflix and YouTube, man. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just retire and do like 3 movies a day. 1,000 a year. That way I can get up to 10,000 uploads more quickly. About a third of the way there. I'm getting there. Can you imagine if I have 10,000 movie reviews? I'm going to leave Rambo Raff for life in the dust, man. That guy can't compete with me. Okay, so the first one is The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming. I had to re-add it because Netflix took it off after they couldn't process my credit card. Then there's MASH, which I should have gotten last week, but they made me wait for some unknown reason. I guess it wasn't available at the time when I thought it would be. And then I've got Executive Action, 1973. JFK assassination. Some kind of right-wing architecture of JFK assassination. I thought the CIA and LBJ were in on it. Trying to rewrite history here with some fake conspiracy theory. 1973 PG film with Burt Lancaster. An hour and 31 minutes. All right. So that's the end of my review. I'll try to get one more in today. The House on Carroll Street. I'm going to cook lunch for my son and then take a little nappy poo. I think I overslept yesterday. I stocked up on a lot of food. So I might not have to buy any food on Monday except for maybe some yogurt. Because my freezer is full of stuff. And so is my fridge. I stocked up big time. So my good eggs employer over in Oakland, they keep trying to cut my hours, give me shorter routes and stuff. Due to the business not being what it should be at this point in time. But what business is what it should be at this point in time? Maybe my valet parking business. At least I get some decent cash tips whenever the sports champions show up. Draymond Green or what was the other? Shalina Moreda. Oh, man. I wish she'd come back. Keep saying that, but it's not happening anytime soon. unfortunately. Just my luck, right? Well, I'm up over 30 minutes now. I went into detail about my Netflix DVD queue. I can't even get Conan the Destroyer because there's a short wait. I can't do another Arnold review for Karate Man. 2 weeks from now, it's going to be Coneheads and then Mr. Arcade and all the different versions of that. I'll do one review for each one of those. Some Orson Welles, 1962. Ranges from 1 hour 38 minutes to 1 hour 45 minutes. Mr. Arcade. All right. So that's the end of my review. I better cut it off now. I'm up over 30 minutes later.